All right, so you're aiming for a job as an animal shelter worker,
Yeah.
and you want to nail that interview. We've got your back. You sent over some really cool stuff from RoleCatcher,
Mm.
career guides, interview advice, even some AI tools,
Yeah.
and we're going to dissect it all to give you a serious advantage. It's not just about loving animals,
Yeah.
though that's obviously huge. We're going to arm you with the knowledge and tricks to stand out in this competitive field.
It's fascinating how this role is often perceived. People imagine lots of cuddles with furry friends, but the reality is much more diverse and, frankly, much more interesting.
Okay, let's unpack that. The RoleCatcher Guide paints a picture of an animal shelter worker that's a lot more dynamic than people might think.
Exactly. The scope section highlights tasks like receiving new animals, who might be scared or injured, responding to lost animal calls, providing basic nursing care, and even handling adoption paperwork and database management. It's a busy role that requires a blend of compassion, practical skills, and even a bit of tech savviness.
And let's not forget the work environment section. Conditions mentions exposure to loud noises, unpleasant odors, and of course the potential for animal bites or scratches.
Right.
Plus, under typical interactions, it talks about dealing with emotional pet owners, sometimes in high-stress situations.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but for the right person, this job can be incredibly rewarding. And with technology constantly evolving, RoleCatcher points out that technology advances are changing the landscape. Shelters are increasingly using software for things like tracking animals, managing medical records, and even promoting adoptions on social media, so being comfortable with technology is a big plus.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Did you know many employers now use AI to screen resumes?
Oh, wow.
It's like a robot gatekeeper deciding who gets an interview. RoleCatcher helps you understand these algorithms and tailor your resume to stand out, which is a huge advantage in a competitive job market.
It's like having a secret weapon. But even with a great resume, acing the interview is crucial. Luckily, RoleCatcher provides a fantastic guide to the top 10 interview questions for animal shelter workers. Let's dive into those, shall we?
Absolutely. Let's start with question number 1. Tell us about your experience working with animals. This seems pretty straightforward, but I bet there's more to it than just listing your pets.
You're right. It's about showcasing your genuine passion for animals and backing it up with concrete examples. RoleCatcher suggests thinking about experiences beyond just pet ownership. Have you volunteered at shelters, worked with a vet, fostered animals, or even participated in any animal-related clubs or activities?
So it's about painting a picture of yourself as someone who's actively sought out ways to be around and care for animals. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask to dig a bit deeper?
They might ask you to describe a specific experience that demonstrates your skills or qualities. For example, they could say, "Tell me about a time you had to deal with a challenging animal." Or, "Describe a situation where you had to make a difficult decision regarding an animal's care."
Okay, let's move on to question 2. How do you ensure the safety of animals in the shelter? I imagine this is where knowledge of shelter protocols and procedures comes into play.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher emphasizes the importance of showcasing your understanding of safety measures. Think about things like cleaning procedures, proper handling techniques, separating animals with different needs, and recognizing signs of stress or illness.
So it's about demonstrating that you're not just someone who loves animals, but someone who knows how to handle them responsibly and create a safe environment for everyone. What kind of follow-up questions should you anticipate here?
They might ask about specific safety protocols you're familiar with, or scenarios like, what would you do if you observed an animal showing signs of aggression? Or how would you handle a situation where an animal escapes its enclosure?
All right, let's tackle question 3. How do you handle difficult or aggressive animals? This one feels a bit tricky, especially considering the conditions we talked about earlier. The potential for bites or scratches is real.
It is, but it's also a fantastic opportunity to showcase your knowledge of animal behavior and your ability to stay calm under pressure. RoleCatcher suggests focusing on positive reinforcement techniques, de-escalation strategies, and knowing when it's necessary to seek assistance from a supervisor.
So it's not about being fearless, but about being smart and responsible. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Definitely avoid bragging about how you can handle any animal. Instead, highlight your understanding of animal body language and your ability to assess and respond to different situations appropriately. Emphasize safety and teamwork, showing you're not afraid to ask for help when needed.
And speaking of teamwork, let's move on to question 4. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with coworkers or supervisors? I feel like this is a test of your interpersonal skills and professionalism.
You're spot on. This question is all about showcasing your maturity and ability to navigate challenging workplace dynamics. RoleCatcher advises focusing on open communication, active listening, and finding solutions that benefit the team, and ultimately, the animals.
So it's about showing that you're a team player and can handle disagreements constructively. Are there any follow-up questions they might ask to explore this further?
They could ask about a specific conflict you faced in the past and how you resolved it. Or they might pose a hypothetical situation like, what would you do if a coworker disagreed with your approach to handling a particular animal? The key is to demonstrate your commitment to collaboration and finding solutions that prioritize the well-being of both animals and staff. It's interesting how often conflicts arise from differing perspectives on what's best for the animals. That's where a clear communication and a willingness to understand different viewpoints become crucial.
That's a great point. It's not just about being right, but about finding the best solution for the animals in your care. Speaking of different perspectives, let's move on to question 5. How do you prioritize tasks when there are multiple demands on your time? In a busy shelter environment, I imagine time management is key.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher highlights the importance of showcasing your organizational skills and your ability to handle a fast-paced work environment. They suggest discussing your approach to prioritizing tasks, perhaps using techniques like to-do lists, time blocking, or delegating when appropriate.
It's like being a master juggler, keeping all those balls in the air. Are there any follow-up questions they might ask to test your ability to handle those multiple demands?
They might present you with a hypothetical scenario, like imagine it's a busy morning at the shelter, you have new arrivals to process, a sick animal needing care, and a phone ringing off the hook with adoption inquiries. How would you prioritize your tasks?
That sounds like a real-life pressure test. I can see how being able to think on your feet and make quick decisions is crucial in this role. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about question 6. How do you ensure the cleanliness and sanitation of the shelter? This seems like a no-brainer, but I bet there's more to it than just saying you're a clean person.
You're right. It's about understanding the why behind meticulous cleaning in a shelter setting. RoleCatcher stresses the importance of demonstrating that you understand how hygiene helps prevent the spread of disease and creates a healthier environment for both animals and staff.
So it's about showing that you take sanitation seriously and understand the bigger picture. What kind of specific details should you include in your answer?
Don't be vague, provide concrete examples. Describe your cleaning routine, the products and equipment you'd use, and your adherence to strict sanitation schedules. If you have any relevant training or certifications, this is a great time to mention them.
And don't forget to connect those details back to the well-being of the animals. It's not just about scrubbing floors, but about creating a safe and healthy environment for them.
Exactly. Now let's move on to question 7. How do you handle administrative tasks such as record keeping and scheduling? This might not be the most glamorous part of the job, but it's certainly important.
It's like the behind-the-scenes work that keeps the shelter running smoothly. What kind of skills and experiences should you highlight when answering this question?
RoleCatcher advises showcasing your organizational skills and ability to manage multiple responsibilities effectively. Highlight any experience you have with databases, spreadsheets, appointment scheduling software, or even meticulous note-taking.
So even if it wasn't in a formal office setting, demonstrating those organizational skills is important. What kind of follow-up questions might come up related to administrative tasks?
They might ask about specific software programs you've used, or scenarios like, imagine you're responsible for scheduling vet appointments for 20 animals. How would you approach that task? It's all about showcasing your ability to stay organized and manage information efficiently.
All right, let's tackle question 8. How do you ensure the well-being of animals in the shelter? This seems like a broad question, but I imagine it's getting at your overall approach to animal care.
You're right. It's about demonstrating your genuine care for animals and your understanding of their physical and emotional needs. RoleCatcher suggests going beyond basic care like feeding and cleaning. Talk about enrichment activities, socialization, recognizing signs of stress, and advocating for their individual needs.
Hold on, what are enrichment activities?
Great question. Enrichment activities are things like puzzle feeders, scent trails, or interactive toys that help keep shelter animals mentally stimulated and engaged. They're crucial for preventing boredom and promoting their overall well-being.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's about showing you see each animal as an individual and are committed to their holistic care. What kind of follow-up questions might you expect?
They might delve into specific enrichment activities you'd implement, how you'd handle an animal with separation anxiety, a common issue in shelters, or your knowledge of animal body language and how to interpret their signals. It's all about showing you're not just caring for their bodies, but also their minds and emotions.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit tough. Question 9. How do you handle the emotional challenges of working with animals, such as euthanasia or abuse cases?
Hmm.
This is a reality of working in a shelter, and it's important to be prepared to discuss it.
It is. This question requires honesty and self-awareness. RoleCatcher emphasizes acknowledging that this work can be emotionally demanding and requires resilience. Discuss coping mechanisms like seeking support from colleagues, practicing self-care, and remembering the positive impact you're making on the lives of many animals.
So it's about demonstrating a healthy approach to dealing with difficult situations and showing you're not naive to the realities of the job. What are some common pitfalls to avoid with this question?
Don't try to appear overly stoic or emotionally detached. It's okay to acknowledge that these situations are difficult and that you have strategies for coping. Authenticity and empathy will resonate more strongly than trying to appear tough or unaffected.
Great advice.
Mm.
It's about finding that balance between compassion and professionalism. Okay, on to the final question in RoleCatcher's Top 10. How do you ensure the safety and well-being of staff working in the shelter? This one seems to focus on your leadership potential and understanding of a safe work environment.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating that you understand that a safe and supportive work environment is essential for everyone. RoleCatcher suggests discussing your commitment to clear communication, providing proper training on safety procedures, and fostering a culture of teamwork and mutual respect.
So it's about being a responsible colleague and recognizing that staff well-being is interconnected with animal well-being. Are there any potential follow-up questions related to this topic?
They might ask about specific safety protocols for staff, how you'd handle a situation where a staff member was injured, or your experience in team building and conflict resolution. It's about showing you're not just focused on the animals, but also on creating a positive and supportive work environment for everyone.
Wow, we just covered 10 pretty intense interview questions. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what RoleCatcher offers, though. What about those AI-powered tools you mentioned earlier?
You're right, we've got more to explore. Remember how we talked about those AI-powered resume scanners being like robot gatekeepers?
Yeah.
Well, RoleCatcher has a tool that helps you write your resume with those scanners in mind.
That's amazing. So it's not just about using fancy keywords, but about understanding how the AI interprets your resume. Tell me more.
RoleCatcher's AI analyzes the specific wording of the job description you're targeting and suggests ways to tailor your resume to match those keywords and phrases. It's like having an inside scoop on what the AI is looking for.
It's like leveling the playing field and making sure your resume gets noticed. But what about preparing for the actual interview? Can RoleCatcher's AI help with that too?
Absolutely. One of the coolest features is the AI-powered feedback on your practice responses. You can actually record yourself answering interview questions and get instant feedback on things like clarity, conciseness, and even your body language.
That's like having a virtual mock interview with an expert. How does that work?
The AI analyzes your responses looking for keywords, sentence structure, and even your tone of voice. It then provides personalized feedback suggesting ways to improve your answers and make them more impactful.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket helping you refine your delivery and boost your confidence. This is incredible.
It is, and it highlights the power of using technology to your advantage in the job search process.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from understanding the multifaceted role of an animal shelter worker to tackling those tough interview questions, and even exploring RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools. Before we wrap things up, let's shift gears one last time and talk about career paths. RoleCatcher's guide mentioned some interesting opportunities for growth in this field. What are some of those pathways?
You're right, this isn't just a job, it's a potential career path. RoleCatcher highlights the importance of continuous learning and networking for career growth. For example, you might start as an animal shelter worker, gain experience in a particular area like animal behavior or veterinary care, and eventually move into a supervisory or management role.
So there's real potential for specialization and advancement within this field. What are some of the things someone could do to position themselves for those opportunities?
RoleCatcher emphasizes seeking specialized certifications, attending conferences, and joining professional organizations. Building relationships with other professionals in the animal welfare community is also crucial.
It's all about building a strong network and staying up to date on the latest developments in the field. It sounds like there's a lot to learn and explore beyond just the entry-level position.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher provides a great roadmap for anyone looking to turn their passion for animals into a long-term fulfilling career.
It sounds like RoleCatcher provides some really valuable insights and tools for anyone pursuing a career in animal sheltering. I'm feeling inspired. So what does this all mean for you, our listener, who's gearing up for that animal shelter job interview?
Well, you're no longer walking into that interview room unprepared. You have a deep understanding of the role you've anticipated those tough questions. And you're armed with strategies to showcase your best self. Remember, it's not just about loving animals, though that's a fantastic starting point. It's about demonstrating your competence, professionalism, and commitment to making a real impact in their lives.
And you've got RoleCatcher in your corner providing those unique insights. And even AI-powered tools to help you craft the perfect resume and refine your interview skills. It's like having a personal coach and cheerleader all rolled into one.
Exactly. Leverage those resources, let your passion shine through, and you'll be well on your way to landing that dream job, making a real difference in the lives of animals in need.
One final thought for you before we wrap things up. Working in an animal shelter can be challenging both physically and emotionally, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Remember why you're drawn to this field, that deep compassion for animals, and let that drive you throughout the interview process.
And remember, you're not just looking for a job, you're embarking on a journey that has the potential to transform not only the lives of the animals you care for, but also your own life.
Beautifully said. Good luck out there.